It is summertime and the mercury's rising. All right, maybe you want to stay inside in the cool air instead of going outside, but your puppy still has a lot of that pent up energy, puppy energy that is. So what can we do to burn it off while it's burning up outside? I live in Western New York, so it can get pretty warm here sometimes, but my team member Allison lives in Arizona and it can get pretty warm all of the time. So she's actually a pro at what to do with a dog in the hot heat. Allison and her pup Lincoln helped me with these tips on hot weather. Michelle here with How to Train a Dream Dog. All right, this is a hot topic. Do you like what I did there? And I've got a lot more where this comes from. I've also got a lot of great videos coming out that you're gonna love too. So be sure to hit that subscribe button so you get a gentle reminder when I've got more puppy stuff to share with you. All right, back to the hot day. First, let's talk about some safety things. Heat can actually be very dangerous for our dogs. Dogs don't have the cognitive skills to know when to slow down or when they need to get some water. So the humans really need to help them out by taking frequent breaks with physical activity. And some breeds have physical traits that make it even harder to cool down. Now, if your dog just likes to sunbathe, it's pretty important to watch the time and keep it to just a few minutes. Pickles loves to follow the sun, and because he's inside, that's no problem. But if we were outside, well, I'd have to watch him the way I'd watch a toddler. Dogs can get sunburns too. Some people ask me, when is it too hot to go outside? Well, there's not a hard and fast answer for that, because it's going to depend on if the dog is in the direct sunlight. What kind of surface are they on, and what are they doing? I mean, if it's 90 degrees in the middle of the day on a hot pavement, this is not going to be a great plan. But if it's 90 degrees and it's a little dark out and we're walking leisurely through the grassy park, that might work out. The most important thing you can do is, number 1, test all surfaces with the back of your hand for about 10 seconds to see if it's too hot or too uncomfortable. And number 2, understand the signs of heat stroke in your dog and watch carefully. Heads up, here are a few of the signs your dog might be experiencing heat stroke. Excessive panting, a higher than usual heart rate, confusion or the dog seems disoriented, vomiting or diarrhea. Gums might be bright red. Now, if you can measure the body temperature, a threshold for concern is about 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Collapse, seizure, or even a coma could be the results. I didn't mean to scare you with all those, but it's important to know so that you can prevent any kind of accident or injury. Now for this and other reasons, you might want to have a thermometer on hand. Heat stroke can happen even in the cooler weather, depending on your dog and how hard he or she is playing. So short-nosed breeds are at higher risk of heat stroke because they don't get as much oxygen in. Pug owners, did you hear that? I'm counting on you to be extra careful. Now let's talk about how to cool your dog down on a hot day. Even if the dog isn't showing all the signs of heat stroke, if you're concerned, it's always good to take action. So the first thing you're going to want to do is move to a shady area or just go inside. Then you're going to get the dog wet with lukewarm water. Do not cover the dog with a towel, even if it's a cold towel. Now, a dog's body is naturally designed to cool down and she needs to sweat out the heat. If she wants to drink water, that's fine too, but don't force it. Continue all these attempts until the panting stops. And of course, if you're concerned, always check with your vet. So if you've determined that it's just too hot to go out at your usual time, let's talk about how to still get in that puppy exercise that she needs. Now, how can you exercise your puppy if it feels like the outside is on fire? Allison says, I've got you covered, folks. Well, at first, evaluate if there's a different time of day that would be appropriate for a gentle walk. Now, the coolest time of day is just before dawn. Now, that might not be when you want to hit the road, but maybe you can head out as soon as you get up. It'll probably be quiet and relaxing and a great time for a decompression walk. Second, try to find a grassy area instead of the concrete. Concrete just absorbs the heat and it radiates it back out. Now, if you step into a grassy area, you're going to probably instantly feel that it's a lot cooler. And the smells are much more interesting for our dogs. Now, if she wants to lie down, that's okay too. She might like the feeling of the cool grass on her skin. But we never want to force exercise if the dog doesn't seem to be feeling it. And remember that mental exercise like sniffing, scavenging, foraging, and hunting can also tire out a dog, much like a complicated test will tire out us humans. And that good info on enrichment can also be found in this video, which has some good indoor activity ideas too. Now you can also try a walk at night. And Allison found that in the middle of summer, a 5-minute walk before bed was just what Lincoln needed to take care of that last potty break and be ready for the night. Lincoln is a routine-oriented guy, so this really helped him stick to a routine of his evening walks. Allison kept the walk short because it was still pretty warm out, even though it was dark. Lincoln enjoyed the smells, and he didn't seem to mind that it was a short walk. Now, a night stroll isn't really different than a day stroll. A dog's nose leads the way, and his nose works just as well at night. Now, you human, you might want a headlamp or a flashlight to help see better. Just shine it away from your dog if he's looking at you. It's pretty bright. Allison told me that the headlamp allowed her to see a dead bird on the sidewalk. And it gave her a chance to cross to the other side of the street so Lincoln didn't want to be tempted to snack on it. Regardless of the time of day you head out, be sure to check out the pavement for the temperature. And be sure to check out different surfaces. The street might be hotter than the sidewalk depending on the material used. Allison found that her street was still warm at about 9 p.m., but the lighter colored sidewalk was just fine. So she and Lincoln stayed on the sidewalk for their brief walk. Now if you can, get to some grassy areas. You're gonna find it a lot cooler than the pavement. Take note of any parks in your area and use those for these hot days. If the path to the park is on hot pavement, you might have to drive there even if it's within walking distance. That's okay, your dog probably won't mind. She's gonna appreciate the outing just the same. So between getting up early or staying up later, altering your walking path, or driving to cooler areas, it's likely you're gonna have to make some sacrifices to meet your dog's needs during this weather. Now, it won't be the first time, and it's not going to be the last time that you've had to make an adjustment for your dog's health, safety, and happiness. Some people feel that the temperature outside is fine, but the pavement is hot, so they use dog booties to resolve this issue. Yeah, that's actually going to be a pass from me. Dog booties are one of the hardest things to get your dogs used to. You actually have to start when they're very young. Now, I've worked through this process a few times with dogs I've trained, but it takes a long time. And unless you keep up with the desensitization, it's also uncomfortable and stressful for both of you. And it's rarely worth it. Dog booties are really best for dogs who are doing hard work like search and rescue or hiking on that really rough terrain. It's better to solve this issue using your human brain to find the right time and the place for a walk. Speaking of walks, the type of walk you do in hot weather might need to be just a little bit different. I encourage you to build in what we call our decompression walk as often as your dog seems to want them. Now these walks, they're a little bit slower, a little bit more relaxed, they require less obedience from your dog, and allow for lots of mental energy to be expended. During the hottest days, you might have to save the heart-pumping exercise for some games of fetch inside the house. Which is why all that sniffing on a decompression walk might be just the right walk that you need. Now, these walks are also often in areas that are cooler, like grassy areas or tree-filled parks. So take a look at this video here for more great tips on where to take a decompression walk. All right, let's talk about the extremes here. Maybe it's hot, just too hot to go out. Or maybe you just missed whatever short window of opportunity you could get your pup outside in. So how do you get her out for a potty break? And how do you plan activities for her to do inside? Well, first, potty breaks can still happen. These will be short and they're not going to do a lot of damage. Just make sure your pup doesn't have to walk on any hot surfaces to get to that potty area. Now, if you need to bring in an extra grassy spot that's closer to your house, the fresh patch is a great option. Or you can DIY it from materials at your hardware store. Pro tip here, a cement mixing tray works great as the tray sod sits in it. Another pro tip, my new puppy starter kit is going to be your BFF when it comes to potty training. Now, this free digital kit goes over all of the reasons pee pads are not the answer, not even when it's hot. Now, if you don't have this free digital kit, you're missing out. Okay, so now that we've covered potty breaks, that's going to be business as usual. But what about indoor exercise? I got you. Let's go over 5 great games that you can do inside and help your puppy burn off some of that energy. These are going to include an obstacle course. Did you catch my recent video on this topic? In this video, I taught you how you can build your own obstacle course using common tools you have around the house and tailor it to your dog's preferences. Now, there's no limit on the variations you can create. Hide and seek is also another great game that can send your dog all over the house, or even in just a few rooms looking for fun treats or toys, or even you. Ellison likes to play this game with Lincoln and is whimsy. It's also great for sit and stay practice. My third suggestion for indoor fun is the snufflemat. Whether you make your own or you buy one that we suggest, these mats are so good for sniffing and foraging. Now another activity. Enrichment toys like a busy box, a puzzle game, or even a flirt pole. Not sure which puzzle toy to buy? My pups did you a big favor and spent a great weekend testing them all out. You can see their favorites in this video here. And do you want to know what my favorite indoor activity is? Training. Working through new skills or reinforcing some existing skills is great to use up your dog's mental energy. In this video here, my team member Nicole was working with Copper on pushing a yoga ball around. Now, it was a low energy activity that still made him work hard. This is a great activity for inside or outside on a hot day. Do you know what else is a great idea on a hot day? A cold treat. I have some great ideas for cold treats that are really healthy for your dog. Now, you might have some of these foods already in your house. Ellison recently whipped up this little delight using some treats, a whimsy, water, and a little bit of chicken broth. Ellison is very extra, so she did this over several days, layering the water and the chicken broth. But you could totally just throw it all in one little cup or bowl and freeze it. Now, you might want to try a frozen cucumber to see if that's interesting for your dog. It has a lot of water in it to hydrate your pup, and the texture is great for those puppy teeth. Another idea is a head of lettuce. Now, this is Archie enjoying his head of lettuce that has a few treats hidden in it. Now, you can even get wet dog food and freeze it into small cubes, like an ice cube tray. Foods in frozen states are different for your dog and might be great for teething pups. So you see, it takes a little creativity to find some fun activities that work great for those indoor days. Okay, one last topic before we wrap up today. I did try to find a few products that might be useful for you and your pup on these hot days, but the more research I did, the more I just didn't find anything that would warrant the Dream Dog stamp of approval. I did find something simple that you might want to use, just a bandana. No need to get the kind with the cooling beads or anything. Just get a regular bandana, wet it, and put it in the freezer. Then when it's time to go out on a warmer day, your pup might enjoy wearing it. Just be sure to desensitize her to it first. Okay. If this video hasn't prepared you for a hot day, I don't know what has. Just remember, safety first, think outside the box for fun activities, and pay attention to your dog's body language. And then adjust your activities accordingly. So now you can check out the 10-day forecast, and do not fret if you see those triple digits. You've got this. All right, in the comments below, tell me, where do you live? How hot does it get? And what are you gonna do the next time it's a scorcher?